this position back in 2002, I read all the laws and the duties of the Justice of the Peace. And the main thing is that the Justice of the Peace is the People's Court. It was designed so that a member from your own community could sit on a court and listen to your cases. It is not a court of record, meaning that a punishment that is given in a JP court cannot be incarceration. It is a court of fine only. And I read another simple message: fairness and equality. Like I said, these are not felons that are coming before us. This is a traffic violation. Some of the violations where there involves no child seatbelt or school bus violations. There's some big ones that come before us. I'm not dismissing the level of offense, but you got to understand that these are everyday people coming before us. We're not there to throw the hammer down and show that we're a tough justice court. We just got to be fair with everybody and let them know that this is the people's court and we're here to represent them. Well, I have more than 7 years experience as being the Justice of the Peace for Precinct 4. Also in that time, I have acquired 220 college credit hours through the Texas Justice Court Training Center, which is sponsored through Texas State University San Marcos. The magistration process is a very important process as a Justice of the Peace, or being as a magistrate, because it is the introduction to the legal system. So basically how you treat that person there when they come before you in the jail is what they're going to think throughout the process of the legal system. If you're there not being able to convey their rights, I said earlier, not letting them understand what their rights are, letting them know the level of the charge, letting them know that in some cases they do have the right to have an attorney appointed to them in their cases, they're going to feel like the legal system does not work. So it is an important process, and we have to understand also that magistration and setting the bonds is not a punishment phase. When we look at that, we got to look at each case by case, look at their record, see if they're not a flight risk. If they are a flight risk, the bond goes a little higher. If not, then there's no need to really put a high bond on them. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak with you all tonight. You know, this room brings special sentiment to me. This is where at 23, I stood up here nervously and announced I was going to run for Justice of the Peace. And I got so nervous I forgot what I was going to say. And my then 3-year-old son, who will turn 12 on Thursday, ran up to me and I looked at his face and I remembered why, and it was for the future. I knew I had a tough road ahead of me. There being a 20-year incumbent in office, another individual who had served JP in another county, and another well-respected member of the community. I knew that there was 80 hours of training required of you once you took that office. The first being 40 hours, and then broken up into 3 more 20 hours, and after that, once you were in office, 20 hours of continued education as long as you're in office. But I didn't rely on that. I dedicated myself to understand the duties of the office I was going to seek, and I spoke about that when I ran for the office. This was not memorization. This is proven work ethic and experience that I go in and day out into the office that I go do. 7,000 class C misdemeanor cases being filed in our courtroom. More than almost 600 civil cases of evictions, small claims and justice civil. We speak here a lot about compassion tonight. I don't have to be given an opportunity to show I can be compassionate. I have proven that I can be fair, do that day in and day out. And again, let me remind you, this is not a political position. This is a position of someone who's going to lead with fairness and equality. I have done so. I ask you for continued support, and I ask you to remember dedication, proven, and fair, and that will be Raymond DELEON for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4. Thank you.
Anytime someone comes before the court or any kind of judicial system, it's got to be a scary moment. Even if it's just a traffic fine. For at that moment, for that person, it's a serious event. What I bring to that is 30 years of experience of managing people, starting businesses, and doing contract negotiations. Those are serious things when you start managing people. You're responsible for the welfare of their family. You're responsible for them having a job. And for 30 years, I've done that. I've created jobs in Lockhart. And so what I bring is 30 years of contract negotiations, 30 years of managing people, and 30 years of hopefully a good record, saying what you mean and meaning what you say. And people can deal with that. It was just a matter of learning the law. That's just a memorization thing. when a person is elected to this position, he's required to do 5 weeks of training. And so the law is taught right off the bat whenever a person gets this position. What's not taught is the compassion that we have for individuals. You know, compassion is something that it's a learned thing. For the last 9 years, I've been serving in many different countries, helping people grow in Christ. I've do ministry work at Pegasus every week. I've organized events for Hurricane Katrina, Rita, and Hurricane Ike. And so compassion is something that is part of my very fiber. And so compassion is something that you cannot exclude from this position. And it's something that can't be taught. It's part of who you are. And I have that. Wow. You guys have heard a lot. You've kind of endured a lot. So I'm going to make it short. You've already heard all about what I had to say earlier. You know, I didn't seek this position out. People came to me and kept asking me if I'd run. And I kept telling them no, and finally it got to the last hour, and they literally begged me. So I finally said yes, and here I am. I told you that because I want you to know that I'm not seeking an office for power. I'm not seeking an office for money. I've got money. I don't need it. I've had power before. I've created businesses like I said earlier. I'm still creating a business called NOPEC. It's an alternate fuel company. We'll be moving it into Lockhart soon. So I'm not seeking this position for any other reason than a group of citizens came to me. I live in District 4 and asked me to run for this position. I'm running for this position because I know I can make a difference. I have a passion in everything I do. I don't do anything without passion. Because you see, I believe that leadership is led by passion. I've said this before and I'll say it again, that leadership is someone who has passion. And he's so busy pursuing his passion that he doesn't know he's a leader. But followers are looking for leaders with a passion, something they can attach themselves to that agrees with their ideas. You know, I've lived in this community for 24 years. I've raised 2 kids. I've got grandkids. I'm helping my daughter raise her child now. And I don't want to see my daughter go through some of the things that I've seen other people go through in this community, people that I have employed. We've got a lot of problems in our community. Justice of the peace is not going to solve those problems, I know. But it's a start.